close your eyes, you'll be here soon. Ichini san shi go fun. Doki doki honto ni netai. Demo kono wa do dekinai. Close your eyes and you'll leave this dream. Oh Yasumi, I know that it's hard to do.
I want to preface before I say anything, please buy this game. As of writing, this game is dirt cheap. This game in DLC could have been priced at a full $20, and I'd still say it was a good price. There is no excuse to not get this game. Support the creators, join the Discord, and love it like I do. If you can't afford to support the game, then please spread the word about it. A single view on a video by some unrelated guy doesn't help as much as posting about it, making art, even making stupid memes helps. Please support this game. Thank you. Looking up I See Only a Ceiling was already a game I adored, so coming into the DLC, I had high expectations, and I am overjoyed to say it absolutely crushed those expectations. It was so much better than not just what I expected, but the original material. Everything is a step up from the original, and included in that is the story. The Relapse is leagues and bounds more involved than what the original story represented, and is so hard-hitting about its messaging that I needed to put that disclaimer at the beginning of the video. It leaves you with such an interesting feeling after beating it, it's incredible. Not even to mention that there are now 3 separate endings, and the game has functionally doubled in length. If you haven't experienced the original game, first, buy it, and second, watch my first video on it and a game similar to it, Milk Outside a Bag of Milk. You will not regret it. There's so much I need to get into, so I'm not going to hold you any longer. Welcome to Looking Up I See Only a Ceiling, The Relapse. We open with our protagonist in explore mode after the events of the first game. This version of her has already overcome a huge amount of her stress, however, it's not over for her just yet. Despite everything she's been through, she still needs to take her exam. We approach the door as she laments about how, even though she's tired, she still has responsibilities in the outside world. More confident now, she reaches out for the door, opening it. After her first struggle, things got better. But as we all know, life reserves challenges for us where we never expect. She explains to herself that this is the last exam of her course, and after this, she'll be done with the course entirely. You have to remember that she's studying anatomy and is likely going to become a doctor. This is a big moment for her and the culmination of years of work. Walking down the corridor, a strange man rushes out from his dorm room, barreling past her. Looking at the ID he dropped, he goes to the same university as she does. Looking up and into his room, there are piles of dust everywhere, and the entire place looks like a mess. It seems he's going through something similar to what our protagonist was going through. We exit into the lobby where we find the receptionist. Our protagonist mentions that she's always been very kind and that she wants to say hi at a later point. She turns towards the door to leave, exiting out into the open air. However, as she gets closer to the bus, she extends her hand, something appearing off about the entire environment. She continues to reach out, eventually grabbing the air, revealing it as a drawing on paper. She drops it, revealing that she's returned to her dorm staircase, but now it's covered in red scribbles and in a similar palette to her home before she escaped the attic. She suddenly collapses from the shock of where she is. Confused and scared, she attempts to steady herself as she tries to find a way out. If we turn around from here, we can find two small creatures laughing at us through a grate. This isn't something we need to do, but it is an achievement and it gives us more insight into how distorted this version of the dorm is. Climbing back down the stairs into the main room, we find the receptionist dead over the counter, blood pooling as the phone emits a long tone. We've seen bodies before in this game, specifically in the last game's attic, but this is far different. Figures stand outside the glass door, looking at us and the body. Deciding to look at the pinboard, we can find the following message. For anyone reading this, the outside world is not an easy ordeal. I can't take this anymore. Good luck. Looking back to where the door was, we find a dark entrance towards a staircase. A plaque next to the door reads, "Failure is just another step." Our protagonist is confused as we trudge down the dark stairs. Eventually coming to some kind of crusher. It's not difficult to understand exactly what this crusher is supposed to entail. The words next to it reading pressure and stress is obviously entailing that this represents a more physical manifestation of what our protagonist is feeling. If she gets caught under the stress and the pressure, she will be crushed by them. We enter a strange room. Surrounding us are several doors that lead to their own areas. The door out is both chained and locked, requiring a key we don't have. To its right, a painting of a student focusing on several books. A sign next to it reads, "The Rewarding Loop," with the subtext of, "Please help stop this." Whoever this painting is of, they are clearly struggling. To our left, a break room where students can relax. Looking inside, we find a TV stuck in the wall, static playing on it loudly. On the couch is a key, but it isn't the one we need for our escape. Entering the room opposite to the break room and turning the lights on, we find a chasm, similar to the one in the girl's bathroom in her home. Across the pit, text is written in blood on the wall, and a student is slumped over a desk. To our right, another student is chained to the roof and locked, forced to read a book. We use the key we found in the break room to unlock him, causing him to drop the book in a box cutter hidden inside of the book. The book is filled with complex equations and diagrams, something he was apparently forced to read. Despite being unlocked, he remains chained. We take the box cutter and move to the painting in the hallway, cutting it apart and causing a strange shrill to escape from it, along with blood. Inside the painting was a storage room, in which we find a ladder to cross the dark pit. As we cross it, eyes stare up at us. We finally arrive at the student and find the gruesome scene. He's crushed under piles of books, his head entirely eviscerated by the heavy books. Our protagonist comments that she understands how he felt, but never actually expected to see it realized in physical form. The note next to him reads, "They knew what was happening, but they decided to just watch. Spectators of hell, I would call them. They know what's going on, but would rather just ignore it." We find a hammer next to him, which we take, questioning what he planned to do with it. Returning to the break room, we destroy the TV and crawl through a revealed tunnel, finding a key tied to a string. As we take it, water starts to flood into the room. This is one of the many timed events throughout the game, which I will be skipping past as most have no bearing on the story. However, do take note on the fact that it's water that fills the room. We escape into the main area, exhausted but safe. We unlock the chained door, entering a new room. We find the words, "Fast, they're here," written in what once again seems like blood. Looking at the dark side of the hallway, a note on the floor reads, "We tried and tried and tried again, but it wasn't enough. How are we supposed to escape this spiral? We're at our limit, always feeling behind others. Nobody seems to care." We turn around, finding the exit. Nervously, she approaches the door, her hand outstretched for the handle. Until a hand grabs her ankle and it's revealed to be a shadowy creature. She jumps as she rushes through the exit, finding a maze of random locations before, eventually, escaping outside. She's confused on how she ended up here, but isn't complaining, as she's finally away from whatever horrors are chasing her. She looks around, appreciating the sun on her skin and the wind blowing through the lush green trees. It's the first time we've seen her be truly outside, and it's refreshing. The sounds of birds can be heard in the distance as we approach a taxi waving us down. She gets in, and I'll allow you to read the conversation for yourself. She finally arrives at her university, aware that there is no going back now. She has to face her problems head on, and even though she's scared, she knows that this is the only way that she'll get better. She enters the building, and we skip a puzzle we don't need to discuss, and approaches her testing room, the last barrier between her and a better outlook on life. However, as she's walking in, a figure is walking out. The two collide, and we get a good look at him. He looks similar to the person who ran out of their dorm room earlier. He explains that he's anxious about the test, struggling with his self-confidence. Our protagonist tries to calm him down using her own experiences to try and help. However, he starts apologizing that he couldn't stop him from coming with him. Just then, a figure emerges from behind him, shadowy, holding a knife and covered in blood. He's disappointed that they don't know who he is, and he starts telling them to just go home, ignore the exam, and put aside what they want. The new guy agrees, but our protagonist argues against the shadowy figure. He comments that something has changed, but before more can happen, a familiar hand falls upon her shoulder. It's him, once again returning to her rescue. He says he was just passing through and wanted to say hi, But before he gets to finish, the shadowy figure lunges towards him, grabbing his neck and hoisting him up into the air. The figure shouts about how lucky he is and that he's been looking for him for quite a while. He questions what the shadowy figure is, but before it can respond, he materializes a pair of scissors, stabbing them into its arm. He questions how it got so far, noting that now it's sentient. The figure, still alive, lunges towards her, but he shouts at her to run. She curses at herself for running away from her problems once again, that she was so close to overcoming them, only to be forced into running once more. But she doesn't have time to pity herself, she needs to get moving. She runs through a random assortment of strange places, finding herself back at the exam room eventually. She realizes that this might be a loop too, and that she doesn't need to run. She can't keep forcing herself to run away, instead she needs to face her fears head on. She needs to take that step towards becoming better. Even if it's difficult, she has no other choice. As she approaches the door, the black figure appears once more. However, before it gets the chance to do anything, he returns, shoving it out of the way and onto the floor, putting it down. The two finally get a moment of respite as she thanks him for saving her once again. He explains that, even though some time has passed, he will always be by her side. She can finally face her fears and her worries have all faded away. It's been tough and it wasn't easy, but throughout all of it, she was able to finally get through her worries and her fears. Until a knife is plunged into his chest and the shadowy figure is revealed to still be living. He got too comfortable and let his guard down, and when he least expected it, the figure struck again, leaving her without anyone to protect her. He coughs up blood and is shoved to the ground, laying in a slowly forming pool of his own blood. She's scared and confused, wondering what she should do if she can even do anything at this point. The figure approaches her, holding its blade at her neck. It taunts her before leaving to finally kill him, and she starts to fall into despair. She was so close, she was right there, but everything is falling apart. Here we split into our 3 different endings of the game. We're going to go over the bad ending first, and then we're going to move on to the good and the true ending. If she doesn't move, the monster will slowly move towards him, eventually plunging his knife into him. Blood flying everywhere as she can do nothing but watch in fear. Seeing him die, being helpless, it overwhelms her to the point of breaking, so she returns to the one thing she knows. She returns to her house, the palette switching back to the base games. She tiredly mentions that she just needs to eat, but upon reaching the door, she doesn't even want to eat anymore. She just wants to sleep. She moves back to her room, slowly opening the door, revealing. She collapses to the floor before standing up and hearing the doorbell ring. Looking through the peephole, she finds the strange creature staring at her once again. She rushes towards the bathroom, the only door left in the house, to try and find some way to hide. However, the door starts to crack. Then, water spills out from its cracks. The water suddenly bursts through, flooding her and eventually drowning her. Overtaken by the stress of everything and without any guide to help her, she's become completely enveloped by her situation. She will not be able to overcome it this time. If she chooses to escape from the situation, she will enter her test room, abandoning him. The people inside the classroom are nothing but dark husks, figures of what appears to be people. She silently shuffles past everyone, sitting down to take her test, feeling their leering eyes staring at her back. She hears other people talking about their tests, but she just wants to go home. She may have overcome this small moment in time, but she left the one person who ever helped her to die. It's uncertain. She isn't sure if she'll be able to overcome another situation like this, but nonetheless, she still steps forward. She still moves on and tries to overcome her worries. If she decides to help him, to put herself at risk and possibly suffer even more just for his sake, she'll run at the figure, shoving it off of him. He throws a pair of scissors at her for her to defend herself with, and she strikes it down. It starts to mutate and contort into a gory mess, various things sprouting out of its body. The two stare as it continues to contort, and he gets in front of her to protect her. However, someone starts running up, and suddenly, she shoots the monster, and pictured beside her is the guy who brought the figure with him to class. He seems to recognize her, questioning how she found out where they were. The creature shouts in pain, cursing at everyone there. She quickly runs over to him, taking his arm over her shoulder to help him walk. The new person continues firing at the creature as the original pair get to talk. He tells her that he's been looking over her this entire time, since the very beginning, and that this time, she's really exceeded his expectations. He knows she's been through a lot and that it hasn't been easy, but this time, she didn't need his help to do it all. She took most of the steps herself and was able to capitalize off of her past experiences. Her relapse, it helped her understand herself better. He knows that it's not easy to solve every problem she has just by putting a false smile on, and that it won't be enough. But changing and growing, even a little bit, is a big step in the right direction to her growing. However, she still isn't fully sure in herself, but he believes in her and always has. She questions if this is goodbye, and he doesn't entirely deny it. Instead, he says that this is a new chapter in her life, a point where she can start fresh, with a new outlook on life. And with that, he leaves. The classroom is now full of people, smiling and now actually looking like people. She looks back, seeing that everything she just saw is now gone. She wonders if it was a dream, but either way, she feels far better now. Instead of feeling nervous and out of place, she's confident in herself. She doesn't feel judged by anyone here anymore, like she really belongs. She reminisces on everything that's happened before sitting down and taking her test. She's proud of herself, believing that she's done well. Exiting the classroom, she finds the person in a hoodie sitting at a desk, staring at his laptop. She says hi to him, and the two leave their university together. She was able to move on by herself, and after all this, she's able to support herself and be strong. With a newfound confidence, she moves forward with her life. Looking up I See Only a Ceiling, the Relapse, has so much going for it. It's not easy to explain every little detail, but I will try my best. I have held something from you though, and those are the names of the characters. Really, they're more like titles, but I wanted to use them here since I will be talking about a lot of people. Using some teasers for the DLC, we learn that he, or calendar guy, is referred to as Inner Supporter. She is referred to as the student, and the new person is known as Instinct. The guy in the hoodie and the strange figure are unnamed, so they will adopt Hoodie and Anomaly respectively. From the very start, this time the stakes are raised way higher. We know that in the first game, every time the girl fails, she will simply restart the loop. But here, it's far, far different. If she fails at any point, she will die, and this isn't like the last game, where there's a loop to restart. Her problems have started becoming so overwhelming and serious that it's heavily implied that if she fails at any point, she'll take her own life. The Anomaly, the figure that terrorizes her and Hoodie for the end of the game, is a materialization of this feeling. It's also implied, if not outright said, that it's a more advanced version of the clock monster from the first game, now sentient and malevolent. By it killing her supporter, her depression and suicidal thoughts overtake any well-meaning people in her life. By escaping from the situation, she runs away from her problems once more. She suppresses them, refusing to tackle them head-on and instead choosing to put them in the back of her mind. But we know that this won't work, just like her supporter said. Pretending everything's okay doesn't help anything. Instead, she needs to face her thoughts head-on. She needs to understand that she struggles with this, and only then can she truly get better. There are some things that are still left unanswered, but I would like to try and offer an answer to a few of these questions. Of course, we know that the Dark World sections, or the more messed up sections, aren't real. However, we do see Supporter driving a taxi, so that kind of leaves us with the question of, is he actually real in some capacity? I'm inclined to think that she actually just fell asleep on the bus, as we know when she sleeps she starts to have these kind of issues, like in the base game. Her talk with her Supporter and the taxi ride was just another part of the dream, her waking up when she leaves the bus for university. There's also the continuous question of, do these scissors have meaning? Both times they've been seen, they were used to battle her demons, so it's clear that they have some importance. But there is a big breakthrough in this idea with the introduction of Instinct. She has a gun, obviously, but we see Supporter somehow materialize scissors into his hand, and Instinct just kinda has a gun. So I'm inclined to believe that these weapons are actually a way of demonstrating how strong these helpers are. Instinct and Supporter appear to be similar in idea, that they are people who are there for the student and the Hoodie guy. And it's implied that Instinct is the direct companion for Hoodie, as Supporter is the student. I believe that Instinct is a literal name, something like Hoodie's gut feeling overriding his negative thoughts. He's able to push them aside by spending some time to think about it all. As such, Supporter, who is only student's self-conscious and her good thoughts, is far weaker than Instinct. Instinct may also be something like a counselor, as she bears a similar appearance to the receptionist who listens to the students sometimes. Either way, she's clearly better at dealing with these negative thoughts than Supporter is. All in all, The Relapse is about a girl trying to cope with her harmful thoughts among a stressful environment. It's not easy for her, and she falls into despair more than once. But if instead of running away from her problems or shoving them deep down into her psyche, she faces and battles them, she will get better. She'll improve upon herself, and she'll keep pushing on. Whether she has her supporter with her or not, she can face any struggle that comes her way. And we're done. This has taken way longer than I would have liked it to make. This was supposed to come out very shortly after the DLC came out, and it has not. It has been like a month, so I am sorry. But it is done. And thank you for watching. I really appreciated it. Please subscribe. We're almost at 500. I think we will be at 500 in like 2 minutes after I release this, so that'll be awesome. I'm trying to get to 1,000, so subscribe if you want to see that, and I'll definitely be making more stuff like this. My last video like this completely exploded, way beyond what I thought it would. 8,000 views as of saying this right now, so thank you very much. It is really appreciated. And thank you for watching. And subscribe and like and all of that other stuff. I don't know. See ya.